Okay guys, we are back for lesson 3.6 and we have written equations, we have solved equations and we have graphed equations. Well, today we need to learn how to write equations. We need to learn how to put all that information in, how to find the missing parts, and how to write the equations. So let's look at the first example. This is talking about people going to the zoo, and this is how much it costs each person to go to the zoo. And the first question says, is this a linear relationship? When I graph this, is it going to create a straight line? Well, rather than graphing it, we're going to do it mathematically. And hopefully you remember that to find out whether it's linear, we're going to find the constant rate of change. Does it go up by the same amount on the x, and does it go up by the same amount on the y each time? Well, if I look at the x from 1 to 2, that goes up by 1. 2 to 3 goes up by 1, and 3 to 4 goes up by 1. So far, based on my x's alone, I do have a linear relationship because it goes up by 1 each time. Now let's look at my y's, and I want to see if it goes up by the same amount each time. Well, from 13 to 22, it goes up by 9. From 22 to 31, it goes up by 9. And from 31 to 40, it goes up by 9. So is it a linear relationship? Well, look at your x's. It went up by 1. Look at your y's. It went up by 9 each time. So because it goes up by the same amount each time, the answer is yes. It is a linear relationship because the constant rate of change of x is 1. And the constant rate of change of y is 9. It went up by 1 on the x's, it went up by 9 on the y's. So then it says, what is the slope of the related graph? And hopefully you remember that the slope is the change of y over the change in x. Excuse me. So I'm going to take whatever the change is in a y, in this case it's a 9, over the change in x, in this case it's a 1, so my slope is a 9 over 1, which just reduces to 9. Okay? Now it says choose an ordered pair. Choose any ordered pair from this graph below, or above, I'm sorry. Then substitute the values in the equation below. So it doesn't matter which ordered pair I pick. I can pick 113, that's an ordered pair. 222 is an ordered pair, 331 is an ordered pair, or 440 is an ordered pair. Any of those four I'm going to choose. So I'm going to go ahead and just pick 2 and 22. And I just picked those just because I wanted to. It could have been any of those. And now it says fill in the equation below. Well, hopefully you know that your x comes first in your ordered pair and your y comes second in your ordered pair. So this is my x value. As you can see up here, my x value was 2, and my y value is 22. So I know my y is 22. I've already solved for my slope, which is m, so that's 9, and my x is 2. So I know everything in my slope-intercept form of equation, y equals mx plus b. I know everything except for the b. So now can I solve for the b? Yeah, I can, because I have a 22. 9 times 2 is 18. So now I have the equation that looks like this. It's plus b, not times b. So now I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides to get b by itself. And 22 minus 18 is 4. So now I know that my b is 4. And hopefully you remember that b stands for y-intercept, which means where it's going to cross the y-axis. And remember, y touches the sky, so it's going to cross at that y-axis at 4. So at 4 I can go ahead and put a dot there. Okay? So now I want to write an equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Well, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And in this form I'm looking to replace the m, and I want to replace the b because I've solved for those already. So now I have y equals, my m, or my slope was 9, And my y-intercept, or b, is 4. So here's, whoops, not b, 4. So my equation is y equals 9x plus 4. And now I'm going to graph it. Well, I know that my y-intercept is 4, so I start there. And hopefully you remember that from there, I go up 9 and to the right 1. So for 4 plus 9 is 15. Nope, I'm sorry. 4 plus 9 is 13, Mrs. Neely. 4 plus 9 is 13 and go over 1. So it's going to be about right here. Holy cow. 113 was my first point. And look, by graphing this line, I got to 113 just by using the equation. Then from there, I go up 9 more. 13 plus 9 is 22. So then I put a dot at 22 and go over 1. So I'm right here. 22 plus 9 is 31 and over 1. And 31 plus 9 is 40 and over 1. Just a little bit further down. So here's my graph of this line. Okay? Let's look at the next page. Here it actually gives you an equation to solve for the y-intercept. And the equation says y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That sounds a lot more complicated than what it actually is, okay? But it's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That's the equation we're going to be using. So let's do an example. Let's go down here and walk through number 1. Actually, let's go down here and do A, because number 1 is done for you and number 2 is done for you. You can look at those yourself. But let's go down here and look at A. A says write an equation in point-slope form, and point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That's the form that we just learned. That's point-slope form. Okay, don't get that confused with slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept is a different form, and that's y equals mx plus b. So slope-intercept is this one. Point-slope is this one. Okay, so we are writing an equation in point-slope form and slope-intercept form for a line that passes through these points. Okay, so we know that it has a slope of a negative 1/2 because it tells us it does, and we know that it goes through these points. So on these points, the negative 1, 2, I have to decide which one's my x and which one's my y. Well, hopefully you know that whenever you have coordinates, your first number is your x and your second number is your y. So I'm going to put those in here. For y1, this is what I want to replace in this equation, and this is what I want to replace in this equation. And it tells me the slope of negative 1/2. So in point slope form, I'm going to put a PS over here so that I can remember which one I'm doing. I have y minus my y1, which is 2, equals my slope, because I have an m, of negative 1/2 times x minus my x1, which is a negative 1. Okay? And I can clean that up a little bit because I have a minus minus, and anytime I have two minuses together, it's a plus. So I have y minus 2 equals a negative 1/2 x plus 1. Okay? So there's my point slope form of the equation. And now I want to write it in y-intercept form. Well, I still have my m. I need to solve for b by plugging in these 2 points. So I'm going to do that on a separate sheet of paper so I make sure I have plenty of room. And I'm writing y equals mx plus b. Okay? And I know my y is a 2. My m is a negative 1/2 because it told me my slope is a negative 1/2. My x is a negative 1 plus b. So I have a 2 equals a negative 1/2 plus b. So I'm going to add a half to both sides to solve this equation because remember I want b on a side by itself. So I'm going to add 1/2. So my answer is b equals 2 1/2. So now I have a b. Okay. So now in my slope-intercept form of the equation, I can replace my m with the m that they gave me, and I can replace my b with what I just solved for. So my answer is y equals my m, which is a negative 1/2, and my b, which is a positive 2.5. And there's my slope-intercept form of the equation. So here's my point slope. Y minus 2 equals negative 1/2 times x plus 1. And here's my slope-intercept. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2.5. Okay? So here is kind of a little cheat sheet for you. When I'm given a slope and I'm given a point, I'm going to use point slope. Makes sense. When I'm given a slope and I'm given the y-intercept, I'm going to use the slope-intercept form. If I'm doing it from a graph, you find the slope. Remember, on a graph, you have 2 points. And you're going to count how far up and how far over you go to find the slope. And the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. Okay? If you have 2 points, you're going to find the slope using the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 to find the slope, and then you're going to plug it into one of these sets of coordinates into your equation to find your equation. Okay, so if you do it from a table, just like we did over here, you're going to find your slope, and then you're going to use that just like we did on the very first example to find your y-intercept, and then you write the equation. Okay? So now let's do one where we have to find the equation, and it passes, all that they give us is 2 points. So I have 2 points here. We're going to go ahead and do letter C. Okay? And letter C, I have 2 points here, so I have to solve for my slope by doing y2 minus y1 over x2. That's where I'm going to start. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Remember that these are your x's, so here's my first x. Here's my second x. Here's my first y, because that's the first coordinates. There's my first y. Here's my second y. And then I just plug those into the equation. So I'm going to use the space over here to show my work. I want to take my second y, which is a negative 3, minus my first y, which is a 0, over my second x, which is a 6. Almost made that one a 0. Minus my first x, which is a 3. So a negative 3 minus 0 is a negative 3. And 6 minus 3 is 3. So I have a negative 3 over 3, which equals a negative 1. So I know my slope is a negative 1. So this is for slope. Okay? Now I'm going to use one of these points down here. It doesn't matter which one I use. And I'm going to plug that into the equation to find my b. I'm going to go ahead and use the first one. So I'm going to use the 3, 0. The 3 is my x. The 0 is my y. So my y is 0. My slope is a negative 1 times my x, which is a 3. And now I want to get b by itself. So I have 0 equals a -3 because -1 times 3 is a -3. Continue solving. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So B equals 3. So now I have an M and I have a B. And I can write that in slope-intercept form. The slope-intercept form then for this one would be y equals mx plus b. Okay? Go ahead and do D on your own and see if you can figure it out. And that's where we're going to stop. Continue working, guys. If you have any questions, bring them up to us and let us know. Have a great day. Bye.